Hello everybody. Today we will be going over the interview process. Let's get started. First, we're going to go over pre-interviewing preparations. So things you should do before your interview with a future employer. The first thing you're going to want to do is identify your skills, abilities, and personal values. Then you're going to want to take some time and discover what are your strengths, what are you good at, as well as areas that you may need to improve in. Then take some time and analyze your career objectives and goals. Why do you want this career? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Those particular questions. And as always, review your resume. What certain positions have you had? Which companies have you worked for? And how do those things apply to the company you're interviewing with that day? Lastly, confirm the schedule of your interview, who's going to be interviewing you and what is their name or names, what day is it, what time, and where will the interview be held. These are all very important preparations you should take before your big day. Next up, with pre-interviewing preparations, we're going to be going over company review. For example, it is very important for you to understand what the company does and its role in the industry it is associated with. It is also very important for you as the interviewee to review the company's mission statement, the company's goals, as well as the organizational structure. So some of you may be asking yourself, what is organizational structure? Here's an example. Organizational structure can be how large the organization or company is. Is the organization international? Does it have international sites? Are there different branches? So is the company located in Dallas as well as in Miami, Florida? These are things that are very important to know. Next, you're going to want to ask yourself and study what sets the company apart from its competitors. What makes them unique per se? And lastly, review news articles and follow the company on social media. It is very important that you stay aware of what's being said in particular about the company and what are some of their achievements and successes that they have had. So everybody, let's get dressed for your big day. It is always very important that you look your best and presentable during your interview. So first up, we're going to be discussing how male identifying individuals should present themselves during an interview. You're going to want to wear suits that are navy, black, or gray. Nothing too flashy. Stay away from red, orange, things of that nature. Keep it neutral. Very important, your shoes must be polished and clean, as well as your shoes should match your belt. Let me say that again. Your shoes should match your belt. Makes you look more coordinated. Recent haircuts, and for anyone who has facial hair, must be neatly trimmed for the interview. As well as minimum jewelry. Pretty much what that means is a watch, wedding band or one ring, a necklace, things of that nature. Next, we're going to discuss female identifying individuals and how they should present themselves during an interview. Very similar to male identifying individuals, wear a coordinated suit that is navy blue, black, or gray. Once again, try to stay away from anything too flashy. Skirts and dresses should be conservative length. Medium heel, flat, and closed-toe shoes are appropriate. Minimum jewelry, necklace, earrings, a watch, one bracelet. These are things that are very appropriate for an interview. As well as brushed and styled hair. Here is an example of dressing professional for your interview. Here are a few more tips in the pre-interview process. Bring multiple copies of your resume to your interview. Make sure you shower, use deodorant, light perfume or aftershave, as well as make sure you brush your teeth. So basic hygiene actions should be done the day of your interview. Make sure you carry a leather portfolio or a briefcase, or for anyone who's female identifying, a purse. The reason for this is you are going to want to carry something that can hold your resume, hold a writing utensil, as well as a notebook to jot down notes throughout your interview. Remember, do not chew gum or candy during your interview, as well as try your best not to smell like cigarette smoke before your interview. Keep your cell phone off and out of reach. This is your moment to impress a future employer. You do not want to be distracted by your cellular device. So, you have received an interview. You're excited. You have studied the company. You're all dressed to impress. Now we're going to talk about introduction. When meeting with the interviewer, pay attention. Listen for the interviewer's name and title. Listen to how people introduce themselves to you. It is important to address the recruiters in the manner in which they prefer. So look and listen. Now we're going to talk about introducing yourself. Make sure when you introduce yourself to your interviewer, present yourself in a confident and professional manner. Have a firm and confident handshake. However, make sure that your handshake isn't squeezing somebody else's hands too tight that it hurts them, as well as you don't want a limp and floppy, as we call floppy fish, handshake. Make sure it's firm and confident. Make sure you have some eye contact when you are being interviewed and when you first meet your interviewer. Be aware of your body language during the interview. So try to refrain from slouching, from folding your arms, things of that nature. Now that you have introduced yourself to your interviewer, let's talk about some commonly asked questions that you will be asked during an interview. One of the most popular questions that you will be asked on an interview is the famous "tell me about yourself." Pretty much what this question means is describe to the interviewer about your professional self and your professional development. Keep it professional, not personal. The next question is, why are you interested in this position? Why did you choose your major? Why do you wish to work for us? What do you expect from your employer? Give an example of any major problem you have faced and how you solved it. Conflict resolution questions are very common during an interview, so it's always advised that you have an answer planned ahead of time for this particular question. And here are some more examples. Of course, the famous strengths and weaknesses question. And lastly, how do you deal with stress? There are a set of questions that interviewers cannot ask you during your interview. Various federal, state, and local laws regulate the questions a prospective employer can ask you. An employer's questions on the job application, in the interview, or during the testing process must relate to the job you are applying for. Here are some examples of illegal questions that you are not allowed to be asked during your interview. Questions such as, are you a U.S. citizen? How old are you? Do you have children? What is your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation? Have you ever committed a crime? Things of that nature. Thus, some of you may be sitting there and wondering, well, what if I get asked this during my interview? There are two responses that you can have if any one of these questions are asked of you. The first one can be, I'm a little bit confused, or I'm not quite sure how that question relates to this current position. Can I have some clarification? Or you can say, I don't feel comfortable in this moment in time answering that question. Towards the end of your interview, the interviewer will always ask you, the interviewee, so, do you have any questions for me? The answer you should always have is yes. You should always have questions for the interviewer. It lets them know that you're actually interested in the position and their company. Here are some examples of some common questions that you should ask during your interview. Can you describe the duties of the job to me? What is a typical day like? What time will I start and leave? To whom will I report to? What's the dress code like? Things of that nature. All these questions here on the screen are very important. So let's wrap up this wonderful interview. Watch for body language, simple gestures, and questions that signal the interview is over. Before the interview ends, get a business card. Ask about the timeline for hiring for the position, as well as how will they contact you if or if not you receive the position, and who will be contacting you. Will it be the person that interviewed you, or will it be someone from Human Resources? And lastly, thank them for the opportunity to interview with their company that day. Finally, send the person who interviewed you a lovely thank you email. You can usually send this email about a day or two after your interview. As well as, if you wish to take it up a notch, it's always nice to take it old school and send a beautiful thank you card with a nice handwritten note in it. Of course, sending a thank you card isn't required, but is specifically up to you. If you have any more questions about interviewing and the process, here is our contact information. Our phone number, email, and location is right here on the screen. With all that said, have a lovely day and thank you so much for listening.